The story of Lawrence and Heather begins in the romance capital of the world, Radford, Virginia. As most college stories go, after graduation, the two of them went their separate ways. They lived their separate lives and made plenty of memories and mistakes.
My life has been very chaotic in the sense of like I've seen like very bad things in the military and especially overseas.
Getting divorced at a young age, I kind of was like, I'm just going to be young, wild, and free and independent for a little while.
Fast forward to January of 2023. Reconnecting was so natural and so fun that they both wondered why they parted ways in the first place so many years ago.
I would say like when I'm with Heather, I feel at peace. When you run into somebody like that, you can't, let it go by.
Meeting him so many years ago, it has changed my life and the trajectory of my life in ways that I don't think I ever could have dreamed of.
I'm old enough now and I've lived enough life where you can tell the difference between somebody that's like a significant person that walks into your life and then, just the average person.
He really does make me a better person every day. He really makes my life better every day by just being himself, and that's the best feeling in the whole world.
Heather and Lawrence, the both of you have lived through a lot of things already. You both know what marriage is, and you know that it's something that people do right and it's something that people do wrong.
Let's see what this is. I'll read this. She said you could read it out loud. She did. She did. Okay.
My darling Lawrence, the last 548 days with you have been the most amazing of my life. You are the man I thought could only exist in my dreams, and yet here you are, moments away from marrying me and making me the luckiest girl in the world. Today you will become my husband. I promise to spend every moment from now until forever ensuring you feel loved, cherished, supported, and understood. Encapsulated on these pages are my memories of us, the big life updates, the day-to-day, monotony, the feels, the fears, and a million tiny moments where you made me smile. If you ever begin to forget how much I love you, or your memories of the mountains and the valleys we've crossed together grow dim, I hope you read these pages and remember how deeply you are embedded in my soul. Of all the love stories ever told, ours will always be my favorite. Happy wedding day, babe. Forever yours, Heather. Like I said, 1 million.
Meeting him so many years ago, it felt like an instant connection, and through the years things have changed, but every time that we reconnect, it just feels like it feels like I'm with my soulmate, and it's such a profound feeling.
It's been too long since we sat down and talked this way. But life is hard, sometimes I don't know what to say. But thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, oh, for how the world seemed back when I was 19. Maybe I just miss having things all figured out. 'Cause now I got doubts and I got these questions, things I just don't understand, but I bet you'll sort it out. It's been too long since we sat down and talked this way. Life is hard, sometimes I don't know what to say. There are times when it just doesn't make no sense, but you have been good to me, you have been good to me time and again.
I would say the sweetest thing he's done is take an interest in my work, my professional life. He has started following sports teams that he has no affiliation with, but he knows that they're important to me. He knows that I'm going to watch the games on the weekend and I'm going to cheer for them, and it's a big part of my life and in what I enjoy.
She is probably one of the most creative people I've ever met. The things that she can create with her mind, like manifest them into reality, is just remarkable.
And he just, without even asking or prompting, he's just so invested and cares so much and watches the games and does the research and reads the news articles so that at the end of the day, he can have conversations with me about what's happening in my field.
So when we were exchanging gifts this past Christmas, she made me an ornament. It was like a wooden ornament, but it was everything was all hand painted. And it was kind of like a collage of every experience that we had. So in there, she had the Channel Islands, like she hand drew and painted us kayaking, and then the LA Kings game and Coda and us eating sushi, and then a plane, you know, like us flying back and forth, like, and nobody's ever done that for me. Like, I think it took time, it took effort, it came from the heart, but it is something that's like priceless to me.
Marriage is a relationship of give and take. That being said, it's important that you never take more than you give.
Just to take that level of interest in something that's so important to me, I think is the sweetest thing in the world. I mean, he has no emotional connection to it, but I do. And that's why he does it.
So I love to see that. I get to witness that for the rest of my life, which is awesome, because I think that she has untapped potential, and I just can't wait to see where, you know, she takes it. Heather and I met in college. We both went to Radford University. It's a small school in Southwest Virginia. We met back almost 15 years ago. We've stayed in touch throughout the years, and then we reconnected back in 2019.
So our first official date would have been January of last year. I happened to be in Virginia. I was living in Los Angeles at the time, but I happened to be in Virginia visiting family.
I had just gotten back from a deployment, and I reached out to her, and then I asked her on our first date.
I must have put something on my Instagram or something, and he just reached out to say, like, how is life? What's new? And I told him that I was going to be in Virginia, and I'll never forget, I have these messages saved, but he was like, if it's not too forward of me, can I ask you out next weekend? I'd love to take you to dinner or coffee. And I mean, of course, like, I've always been attracted to him. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I would love that. None of this makes sense. I live in Los Angeles, you live in Virginia, but of course I want to, hang out with you and catch up. So we made plans to go to dinner.
I mustered up the courage to reach out to her. She was actually coming back into town at the time. She was living in Los Angeles. She was coming back to visit family for the holidays. So it kind of aligned perfectly. I like to say it's divine intervention, so to speak. But at the time, I didn't know that she had this very tight timeline. She was going to see somebody in North Carolina for their wedding venue, and then she was trying to go see some family, and she was trying to go back and see some friends.
I'll be honest, I really didn't have the time. I was in town for, I think, 48 hours, and I had to be from Washington, D.C. to Blacksburg, Virginia, to Greensboro, North Carolina, to Yorktown, Virginia, and then fly back out of Washington, D.C. So I was all over the Mid-Atlantic and just really did not have time to stop and say hi to anybody. But for him, it was just a no-brainer. So
I didn't know at the time that she had like allowed me to, or like for it to happen, right? Like I reached out to her initially, but if she didn't agree, so I basically was like, hey, I'd love to catch up. It's been, you know, X amount of years. Just touch base with you. If you'd like to get coffee or dinner, that would be great. And she made the time to come see me in Richmond, which is where I was living at the time, Richmond, Virginia.
And he was like, well, I'll meet you anywhere in the state. Like if you just have the time, like I'll drive to wherever you're gonna be. And that like immediately was impressive to me. So I was like, no, I can make it work. So I met him in Richmond, Virginia. He, I think, sent me like 8 or 10 restaurant options, which was just so funny to me. Like he put in all this research and was so excited.
So here I am on my phone, like looking for the best restaurants, and all of them are closed because like I think the day that we met was on Sunday. And so I found this like sushi place because I knew she liked sushi. It's called Lucky AF.
It's called Lucky AF, and that's where we went for our first date, and we are Lucky AF, so that's kind of perfect.
Yeah, we just talked all night. Like we literally talked maybe 7-8 hours.
We finished dinner and the restaurant was kind of closing up, and we just weren't done catching up. It was just, I mean, immediately being back in each other's presence, it was like catching up with, you know, a good friend. So we walked to this other bar and sat there and closed that place down. And I mean, I think we must have talked for 6 or 7 hours total. And we just didn't want to say bye. Then we had our first, I guess, official kiss as an adult.
The next morning, she had to go down to Yorktown to see her grandmother. And from there, the rest is history. I think we both parted ways knowing that there was going to be something more.
I get kind of antsy about things, so I texted him later that day when I hadn't heard anything, and I was like, thanks again for dinner. It's great to hear from you. You know, we'd love to catch up again another time if you're, you know, up for it. And immediately he was like, yes, I'd love to see you again. Like, just say when.
I felt that we had the same mutual feeling without kind of saying it out loud. And then after she flew back to California, we I booked a plane ticket to come out and see her the very next month. So that was our first date on the East Coast.
I think like 1 week later, he booked a flight out to California for February. And yeah, that was his first trip west.
I flew out to Los Angeles for the first time.
I had so much anxiety about him coming out, not because of him coming out, but just like, I lived in a 500 square foot apartment in Los Angeles. Like this thing was tiny and he was going to be there for 4 days. So I was like, oh my goodness, what if he doesn't like my apartment? What if he doesn't want to be here? What if it's different the second time? So I had a little bit of anxiety. I went and bought new rugs. I went and bought new throw pillows. Like I wanted everything perfect when he got there because I just wanted him to have the best possible experience.
She booked a bunch of things.
So yeah, he came out. I was trying to plan fun things for him to do, being in Los Angeles.
We went to an LA Kings game, and then the very next day we went to the Channel Islands, which was awesome. It's a national park out there.
At some point, I don't know if it was the first date or just in that first month of talking, he had mentioned that one of his bucket list items is that he would love to visit all the national parks at some point in his life. And obviously that's going to take a long time, but I was like, I think it would be fun if I took him to one of the more unique ones out here on the West Coast that maybe like would warrant a trip in and of itself.
Basically like went up the coast, got on a ferry and took it 2 hours out to Channel Islands. And then of course she like picked kayaking because I think we had talked about that at one point in time that we both liked kayaking.
I booked a full day excursion of kayaking for the two of us where we had to get on a charter boat and go an hour and a half out to this remote island that doesn't even have running water. And then we did sea kayaking in a tandem kayak. And I thought that was not a weird second date apparently.
So we get our instructor and our instructor's like, yeah, the kayak, the two-person kayak is a really good make or break relationship exercise because people either like leave the two-person kayak in a fight or they like leave more united. And I was like in my head, I'm like, oh great, this is our first date. This is gonna go awesome.
Dog was gonna take us out on like to lead the excursion. She was like, yeah, these tandem ones, they call them divorce boats. And I was like, God, this is great. On our second date, I have put him in a divorce boat. Like this is gonna make or break us. I'm never gonna see him again.
So yeah, the kayak tour was cool. we just like pretty much had to work together, and we were going through like the sea caves, and you had to like time it just right, because you'll have the swell that will come into the cave and you kind of got to ride it in, and then you got to time it on the way out. It was a freaking blast.
From a teamwork perspective, we did pretty good getting in and out of the caves. Some of the other boats tipped and we did not, so we were really proud of ourselves. We just had the best weekend. Just a lot of good food, a lot of catching up, a lot of strand walks. We just enjoy, doing simple things together. I think that's one of my favorite things about our relationship is it doesn't always have to be extravagant trips or kayaking excursions. Like, we can cook dinner together and still have a good time, or take a walk together and still have a good time. So the whole weekend is just awesome.
At the end of that weekend, I was hooked. I was like, we're gonna make this work. We're gonna make the long distance work. And we just continued to plan, month after month.
I wish that I could tell you that getting married is going to protect you from bad days, but it's not. You're gonna have some bad days. And you're gonna have some good days. You're gonna have times of joy. You're gonna have times of straight up tragedy. But the good news is, from this moment on, you don't have to face these things alone. Because today, you've made the decision to always be there for one another, no matter what.
The amount of effort that he puts into this relationship is like unbelievable to me. And it was something that I was really taken by in the very beginning. And I mean, long distance is hard for anybody. I think we have done an incredible job of, maintaining a healthy long distance relationship, but a lot of that is the effort that he puts in. And it's, nightly FaceTime calls that are sometimes 2-3 hours at night, which is crazy because he's getting on at 10 p.m. his time. We're on a 3-hour time zone change. So, I think very quickly in that first month of dating, I realized, this guy is different, and he makes me feel safe. He makes me feel cared for. His commitment level is incredible, and I've always been attracted to him. So that, that's not love, but that's definitely attraction. And then when you add in the emotional security and the commitment and the effort and all of that, I think it dawned on me pretty early that this was my love.
So, what would you, at this point in your relationship, what's something that you've learned from her?
Can I cuss?
Yeah. Let it rip.
Just chill the fuck out. To just be present.
He has taught me so much that I don't even think he's trying to teach me, but I just watch him live his life, and I'm so inspired by it.
I think she's really put a different frame of reference in my way of life now, that I need to be present in the moment. Just enjoy the process, enjoy the moment now. She's really good about that.
I think I've always kind of been a passionate person, but I haven't had the support of the people around me in the way that he supports me to continue to do those things. But by watching him, just do incredible work, and the support that he gives me, he's super encouraging, and that's meant the world to me for sure.
And I think that we're a good balance. I'm focused on the future. Hey, what are our life goals? What do we want out of life? But she's the one that really makes every day the most meaningful. So I really like that she brings that to our relationship.
Now, if you'll permit me to be serious for a moment, it may not seem like it right now, but take it from a guy who has been married for over 20 years and has watched his 5 kids grow. The time is going to go by so much faster than you think. Till one day you take a look back at your life and you wonder what you did with the time that you had. So, one last piece of advice. Don't let your days go by without you. Remember every now and then to put down the phone and be in the moment, because I'm telling you now that every moment that you have together is a gift. So be grateful for that gift every moment you're given.
She's just the most genuine person I've ever met. Trust is such a big thing, and honesty is such a big thing. And I think one thing that I value in our relationship, and that I shared in my vows, was we have both worked hard to make this relationship happen. We've literally chosen each other every day. Dating long distance is not easy. It's not cheap. You know, it's expensive to buy plane tickets and plan trips and be intentional about that. She's just been so genuine.
Lawrence is the most selfless person I've ever met. I mean, man or woman, it doesn't matter. Like, he is the most selfless person I've ever met. And when I look at, you know, other relationships, and then I look at the one that we have here, it's incredible just how supported I feel and how heard and seen and respected. He just, the level of care I think that he brings to the relationship and the amount of care that he gives to me is totally different than anything I've had in the past.
And I think that when you find somebody that has the character that Heather has, like I said before, you don't pass it by. So I think it's just that gut instinct that you get. You run into somebody and you're like, that person is solid. That person has a good head on their shoulders. That person is passionate and caring and heart of gold, and you know, they make you want to be a better person. Those are just a few of the things that I love about Heather.
We've both been through a marriage once before. We know what a mismatched partnership feels like. We know what it feels like to be in a relationship where the effort isn't matched, and where you just don't have the same philosophy or like thoughts on life. And to sit down with somebody and have it click so quickly and like just so naturally, even though this is somebody I haven't really interacted with much. I mean, it's been a little bit here and there, but haven't really talked to that much. And to come to the table and have a conversation like that where we're so aligned on our thinking and our perspective on life and just the way that we want to live our life, like it was so refreshing. It felt like home. Like it just made sense.
With thankfulness, I am marrying my best friend. A privilege and a blessing that words cannot fully capture.
Our love is the love of a lifetime, and I will always give it the respect and attention that it deserves. You make me happier than I ever thought possible, and have shown me the true meaning of unconditional love.
I look forward to a life filled with travel, adventure, laughter, music, fabulous meals, lifelong friends, and the unwavering support one can only experience through marriage.
Your effort, consistency, and commitment have prepared my heart and shown me what it feels like to be at peace in love. So while we celebrate our love in this beautiful national park today, we will be back on the road tomorrow, ready for new parks, new places, new foods, and new adventures together.
You wrecked my world in a beautiful way. I kinda thought that I'd always stay the same, but I heard that healthy things grow and growing things change. Yeah, you wrecked my world in the most beautiful way.
My love, with you, I am home. With you, I am whole. From this day forward, I vow to cherish you.
Yeah, dreams. I had a lot of dreams. And if I'm honest, they used to be different things until you were here with me. Now I close my eyes and I see things differently.
That first date on the East Coast, if you could pick a word, you talked about there was that feeling that you walked away with, that there was going to be more. In a word, what would that feeling be?
Wow, one word. I would say probably like peace.
I mean, it just felt like being home. Like it felt like
My life has been very chaotic in the sense of like I've seen like very, very bad things in the military and especially overseas. I would say like when I'm with Heather, I feel at peace.
I could live a million.
I want you to know that no matter where life leads us, as long as you are there, that's where I am meant to be. For spending the rest of my life caring for your heart and growing old by your side will be the greatest privilege of my life.
Someone just like you. 'Cause you wreck my world in a beautiful way. I kinda thought that I'd always stay the same. But I heard that healthy things grow and growing things change. Yeah, yeah, you wrecked my world in the most. Yeah, you messed up my world in the most beautiful way.
Like when you run into somebody like that, you just you can't, let it go by.
It was just, it was so refreshing. It felt like home. Like it just made sense.
You wrecked my world in a beautiful way. I kinda thought that I'd always stay the same. But I heard that healthy things grow and growing things change. Yeah, yeah, you wrecked my world in the most beautiful way.
And in the words of St. Paul, John, George, and Ringo, all you need is love. Love is all you need.